you to drop in the chat your name, please. If you could please share your name with me, with everyone here that's live with us today. I'm so excited for today's discussion. I am sitting in 2 seats today, or maybe let's see, as everyone is named Lynzie Smith, I'm sitting in currently 9 seats, but technically I'm here in 2 roles. So today I am going to be facilitating as myself, Lynzie Smith. I'm a hairstylist by trade, a makeup artist. I've been in the industry for 15 years. I am now also head of community engagement with SalonScale. So those of you who are joining either from my community, Commonwealth Collective, hi, I see a few familiar faces. Thank you for coming on and joining us. Those of you that are joining from the SalonScale community, if I have not yet connected with you in my role as head of community engagement, welcome to Sips and SalonScale. I absolutely love facilitating this every week. This is a space that we hold for our active users. So every single Tuesday at 11 o'clock Eastern, we host this half an hour. Typically, today's call is a full hour, but we host this half an hour to bring education and resources to our community of active users who are learning how to grow their business, learning how to find more profit in their business. Who doesn't want to find more profit? Am I right? It's 2024. I work as a coach. I know I work with a lot of people in one-on-one capacities who are actively looking for new revenue streams, who are looking for ways to maximize their profit in their business. This is a topic that comes up a lot around this time of year. It's tax season. Taxes are either already paid or hopefully to be paid in the next week or so here in the US. And so profit is really top of mind for most people in this time of year. And so with SalonScale, with this tool that you have the technology, the system to be able to manage your back bar, keep your inventory in place, understand the parts plus service that are required to properly price yourself. So the technology that is included when you invest in SalonScale is bar none. It helps support you as a colorist in a way that has not existed prior in our industry. Now, in the community facet, in these weekly Sips and SalonScale initiatives, we're also able to provide education. We're able to provide mentorship and community and coaching for these active users who are so focused on increasing their profit. So I know a few of you just jumped in. If you are joining us now, please drop your name in the chat. I see a couple of you did change your name. We don't know exactly why these are all coming up as Lynzie Smith. Your name is showing as Lynzie Smith today. I am Lynzie Smith. I'm head of community engagement with SalonScale. If you could change your name or drop your name in the chat, that would be so helpful for me so that I can get to know you. I'd really love to be able to connect with you today. So we are talking today about working with aligned brands. I'm really excited about this discussion. As I just gave this little brief intro, I want to kind of go right in because I'm going to keep us on track for this full hour. And we're going to have some time to kind of talk through some questions. So I'm going to take a peek in the chat. As I mentioned, I'm wearing 2 hats today. I'm facilitating as myself, as Lynzie, and I'm also in this space as head of community engagement with SalonScale. And so by hosting this space, we want you to bring your questions to us. If you have any questions around SalonScale, if you have any questions around working with aligned brands, please drop those in the chat. We're going to come back to them a little bit later. And then I'm going to get started here by sharing my screen. So let me put this into presentation mode. So I would love to invite you for the next hour to be fully present. So if possible, turn off your notifications, put your phone away. You'll hear the chime letting me know that people are coming in to join us here in this hour. So if you hear that, please disregard. That's just for us to welcome another person into this space. So please try to be present. Take notes. I know for me, I have ADD. And so for me, writing really helps me kind of focus my thoughts. So whatever makes the most sense for you, I would really encourage you to be present for this next hour. If you're new to Sips and SalonScale, like I mentioned, we host these half an hour sessions every Tuesday at 11 Eastern for the active users within the Sips and SalonScale community. So I would love to welcome you to Sips and SalonScale with our morning beverage. I'm drinking a tea this morning. We always share our beverage of choice, whether it's a latte, a matcha. If you're drinking a beverage this morning, drop in the chat for me what you are sipping on. I've got a green tea, kind of boring this morning. I have, let's see, also an ask. If you could please drop where you're joining from. So again, as we're kind of going through this hour together, I would love for you to be present and fully participate in the chat, ask your questions. Ooh, that sounds so good. I know your name is not also Lynzie Smith, so I'm not totally sure who's drinking the Earl Grey lavender with coconut milk and honey. I might guess that that's Casey, and that sounds delicious. An espresso, Friendswood, Texas. Thank you. Holiday, Utah. A coffee in Chicago. Amazing. Hi, Rochelle. Rochelle is one of my one-on-one coaching clients. Welcome to Simpson SalonScale. So today you are in the right place if you're struggling with finding brands that maybe identify with your mission. So this is something that for many people that I've worked with, so many people have stepped into education or maybe content creation or maybe even consulting like I'm doing in different capacities. And maybe the brands that you're working with maybe aren't truly aligned with your big mission in life or your big mission within this industry or your value system. So maybe that might be a struggle that you're looking to kind of tap into this year. How do we find brands that are truly aligned with where you want to move your business into? Maybe you're finding it challenging in general to research or reach out to any brands. Maybe you're at that stage where you know it's time to diversify and you're looking for opportunities to do that in some capacity. You know, you have a lot of wisdom to share, a lot of education, a lot of experience that you might be able to bring value to these brands that you love. But researching them and connecting with them might feel a little sticky or tough, difficult. Maybe you're trying to find ways to create win-win solutions. So maybe you're getting into conversations, you're attending events, you're networking, and you're finding opportunities to actually pitch these ideas, but they're not necessarily mutually beneficial or symbiotic, as I like to say. So if you're in that space, how can we kind of move you into a true aligned relationship with this aligned brand or these aligned brands that you're looking to work with so that you can secure more revenue, you can secure more opportunity, you can step into whatever that next season of your career might look like. So after this webinar, you're going to have some clear strategies and actionable steps. So if you've worked with me in any capacity, you've listened to our podcast, you've been on any of our virtual events, or you're one of my current cohort or coaching clients, you know that I'm all about action. I am not going to leave you hanging. I want you to leave with some steps to take today. So this entire hour is here for you. Please, like I mentioned, if as we're going through this, you have any questions about brands, any questions about maybe your next couple of steps, how this applies to you and your business today, please ask those questions. Those are the ones that we really want to get into because that's how you can take this and put it into practice in your life this week. How cool is that? So with that, I would love to kind of keep this engaging throughout the entire time. And at the very end of this hour, I have a freebie for you that I want to extend. And I think this is really going to help add more value to this conversation and then take your plan and put it into action as you keep moving forward around this topic with aligned brands. So the first thing I want to kind of hear from all of you, those of you who are live with us, if you're watching the replay, again, please participate in this as if you're watching live. This is going to be packed full of information for you. If you are excited to finally achieve the success with brands that you've been striving for in your business, could you please give me a yes in the chat? If you could drop specifically what it is that you're looking to learn about working with brands. So this could be maybe how to create content, how to become an educator, how to work on a stage, how to travel, how to consult, how to all of the things. If you can drop any specifics that you would love to grab from me in your time here, please drop that in the chat. I see a couple of yeses. Thank you. Thank you. And then as you're going through kind of thinking, maybe you're feeling a little like, I'm not totally sure. Okay, how to consult. I love that. I love consulting. It's such a great avenue for experienced artists to really start to move into leveraging their expertise, leveraging all of their decades of experience in the industry, which brands to reach out to and create a genuine collaboration. Yes, I love that you mentioned genuine collaboration. So this is something we're going to talk about. I've worked with brands. I'm going to talk about myself in a second here again for a moment, but I've worked with brands in different capacities. And I will tell you this, the brands that I've had the most success with are the brands that I have a true, genuine collaboration relationship with from the very start. So that includes SalonScale. We have quite the history, SalonScale and myself. And so again, being able to build on that relationship, continue to collaborate, that's what truly leads to so many different opportunities within these brand relationship structures. Interested in being a rep? Oh, amazing. I love that. Okay, wanting to grow my current salon studio. So great. So these are all really specific things and really aligned with our discussion today. So thank you for participating in that. I'm going to call you into the chat a few times throughout our time together, but please keep that space going. Keep that conversation space open because then when we get into our Q&A, I'm going to be able to really highlight the specifics as they apply to your business. So all of these are direct things to kind of put your thinking hat on, your creativity as we're going through this, and try these ideas, these concepts on in these specific targeted areas. So like I mentioned, my name is Lynzie Smith. I'm a hairstylist. I've been in the industry for 15 years. I have worked with brands in different capacities, and I've really been able to leverage my collaboration experience, my networking and relationship expertise within the beauty industry to help me position myself and my clients. Like I mentioned, I'm a coach. And so I work with different clients in different spectrums of their business and stages where they're growing their businesses. And many of them are working with aligned brands in different capacities. So this can kind of span the gamut of the industry. Like I said, one of the really common ones that most artists kind of start out with or really have their eye on early on is education. So I myself was a technical educator for a brand, a national brand. I taught for many years, and I would travel almost every other weekend to go teach technical education, working with natural texture. So even in that first experience, I really started to understand how to leverage these relationships, how to really start tapping into working with these aligned brands. And so by doing this, by being able to really kind of pull this up for myself and go through this experience of what it is that brands really look for, what are the things that they really want to see collaboratively. So as someone mentioned, a genuine collaboration is so important because if you are working with a brand in a bigger capacity, you want contracts that renew, right? You want more opportunities. You want to be able to go to more events, to be able to teach more classes. And so we want this collaboration piece to be kind of the foundation that's laid so that those opportunities can continue to build and the relationship can continue to grow. So think about this topic just like you would think about a relationship in any other capacity. While I facilitate as a coach, I talk about 3 specific areas. So I talk about dream clients. So this is butts and seats, people who are booking your services. Then I talk about like-minded pros. We call these power partners. So all of you here are power partners, potentially your like-minded artists who are all really focused on this next chapter in your business, working with these aligned brands. So power partners, building relationships in that area. And then the third one is this topic specifically, aligned brands, because aligned brands can take your mission so much farther, so much faster. So within this discussion, think of an aligned brand, SalonScale is a great example, as a relationship, just like a relationship you would have with any other individual person. So a brand in that relationship building piece, think about the things that you pour into individual relationships, right? The time that you spend and the research that you might put into, getting to know somebody and really showing up and providing value, that symbiotic kind of mutually beneficial dynamic that's really important in all relationships. So with that experience that I've had building my own community, working with brands in paid and unpaid capacities across the gamut as sponsors within events, for our podcast and advertising, with content creation. I've hosted a large summit with keynote speakers and sponsors, including SalonScale. So my experience goes very deep in this topic, and I love being able to share my experience with my coaching clients, with my one-on-one clients, and now here with you in this space. So have you ever struggled? These are kind of a couple of things, again, that I want you to kind of start thinking through. Identify brands that align with your mission and values. So we talked about that. Researching them, and then finding that courage to reach out. So I'd love to kind of hear in the chat if you've ever made an introduction, a cold introduction to a brand from any social platform. This could be email, this could be a DM, this could be on LinkedIn, which is something I very strongly encourage you to try out in this capacity, working with these aligned brands, but reaching out to them. If you've done that, drop it in the chat. I don't see anybody saying yes just yet. This is something, again, many people might have the idea of working with a brand or starting to move into that direction, but the fear of actually putting themselves out there, awesome, I see one yes. The fear of actually putting themselves out there holds them stuck in this pattern of knowing they have something of value to provide and knowing that they should be compensated for that in some capacity, amazing, a couple yeses, but they can't quite kind of get over that hump of making that outreach. So we're going to talk about that specifically. And then with this, again, kind of going into my experience, I get this. I cannot tell you how many no's I've actually had in the process of reaching out to brands, making pitches. When I first started my community back in 2020 at the very start of the pandemic, I was cold outreaching completely. I was cold outreaching to every brand I had ever used, any brand I had ever worked with in any creative capacity, any reps that I had any contact with. I know somebody mentioned in the chat that they're interested in becoming a rep. I was really working hard at building building my network up of people who could help tap me into aligned brands. And as my business, especially online, my digital space, my revenue streams that were coming from virtual events and virtual education, I really wanted to be able to bring that education, bring that facilitation into these events and into these brands, but I just didn't know how to open that first door, how to kind of get myself through that space. And so through that experience, and then through my own mentorship, through my own coaches that I've hired, my own mentors that I've hired, and my own strategies that I've applied, I've been able to find some really great ways to find open opportunities and collaborative spaces with brands. So in this capacity, like I said, I've been a national educator. I've worked with brands as sponsors. So this is paid capacities for events. This can be anything from small digital virtual events. Even today, this could be a great example of an event that could be sponsored. So if you're an educator in any capacity, if you teach technical or business education in any way, shape, or form, this is a great area for you to start looking at, focusing some attention on, to start bringing your education, your facilitation to more people through the lens of aligned brand partnerships and sponsorships. Partnerships are similar. So the difference typically between a partnership and a sponsorship is the compensation structure. So depending on a partnership, is there something mutually beneficial? If you show up and you're able to serve in this way. So today I'm serving as Lynzie Smith, the founder of Commonwealth Collective, a fellow hairstylist, and I'm able to really provide value to the SalonScale community. So this is a great example of something that's really mutually beneficial. When we bring guest educators in, we had previously, Kaylee OJ came in and she talked through and was able to really introduce us to the implementation guide. And so that was for her, again, an opportunity to really provide value to our community. So that partnership piece is really important. So sponsorship and partnership are two ways that you can really kind of start leveraging these relationships with the brands that you already use on a regular basis within your business. Content creation and advertising. So this is something I've worked with brands specifically around. So content creation can be anything from reviews, testimonials, how you like something, unboxings, being able to work with brands when new product launches come out and you're taking content, you're taking even user-generated content that you're able to then send over and get compensated for. And then advertising, like I mentioned, we have a podcast called Commonwealth Conversations. If you have not checked it out, I would strongly encourage you to do so. But even in that space, I'm able to leverage relationships with brands to bring on opportunities for advertising and generate revenue for our podcast in that capacity. Affiliates. So anytime that you're using something that you really love, you can tap into that product that you love or that service or that technology piece that you love and create an affiliate link that then as you're sharing it, even if it's a very small commission, you're earning a small affiliate anytime you share that product with somebody else. And again, for me, that aligned brand piece is really important because I'm going to share this information anyway. If I find something that works, if I find something I love, like SalonScale, I'm going to share it. So why not have that associated with an affiliate link that's paying me a small commission for that share? So from that, I've moved all of those areas of brand focus into now consulting. So I work actively with SalonScale, like I mentioned, as head of community engagement. So I'm able to bring in my expertise and then share how to build community, how to leverage hosting events like this, how to set up webinars every week so that we've got that piece to really support our active users and empower them to continue to grow their businesses towards more profit. So all of these different opportunities are available to you. These are all capacities that I myself have worked with brands. And these are all the ways that I really help my clients kind of start learning how to make these opportunities possible for themselves. So with this, I turned everything kind of around after I started to realize that so many times there were some conversations around the brand discussion where people felt like brands are just going to take you for all you got. They're just going to use you and abuse you and then spit you out and hire somebody else who's younger and newer and more open to doing all the ridiculous, crazy, backbreaking travel that's required to ever work with a brand. And I really wanted to start to kind of dissuade that conversation. I felt like that was not my experience. I did not have that experience myself. I had worked with really great brands and I had been able to really kind of start to show why those relationships were so successful for me because I kept coming back in a space of service. And so in that collaboration piece, like I said, that foundation is so important because when I have that laid, then it's really easy to kind of uphold boundaries and uphold those spaces of recognizing that we as the artists, as the people who are truly working behind the chair, I know this for myself as a technical educator, when I worked with the national brand that I had traveled and taught for many years, one of the things that I started to notice before I resigned from that role is that they started to kind of lose the focus around the artist. They were focusing focusing more so on the consumer. And I remember when that kind of started to happen, I remember as a professional starting to recognize that that shift was happening. And it really quickly made me recognize that brands, when they are truly aligned in supporting us as an industry, they're pouring back into us as the experts and the professionals first and foremost. And they're making sure that we're empowered and we are educated in the ways that we need to, so that then our clients have the great experiences, our businesses get to stay open, and we get to continue to grow and expand and elevate the industry as a whole. So that's exactly what I want for you in this space. I want you to be able to tap into working not just with any brand, not just collecting checks to be able to say, I'm a brand ambassador or I'm an educator, whatever that looks like for you. I want it to be aligned for you in a way that really helps scale your business for another decade, that helps give you back some time freedom so that you can start to expand other creative opportunities within your business. So let me know in the chat if you've ever heard this phrase: your network is your net worth. This is a really popular one. Porter Gale is the original artist who potentially said this famous quote. I've actually changed this one up a little bit. I've struggled with this quote because I've always struggled with that worth piece. I feel like, well, wait a second. I don't know if it's my net worth. I've got to be more worthy around other things, even if my network might be small. I know for me, I've relocated many times. I've actually lived fully remote, nomadic for almost 8 months. And so my network has ebbed and flowed. It's changed a lot over the seasons in my career. And so if my network is completely generated and tied to my worth, oh no, what does that mean if it fluctuates and ebbs and flows? So I've changed this up a little bit for our community. I changed this quote into your network is your net wealth, because I genuinely believe that networks are directly connected and correlated to the revenue, the wealth in our businesses that we're able to tap into. So by putting some emphasis and some focus around building a really robust network, your opportunities for revenue, the wealth expansion are endless. And so from that, I really want to encourage you to think about that word wealth. Within our company, so we are Commonwealth Collective. My coaching and consulting business is called Commonwealth Collective. I'm going to share some social links for us to stay connected at the end. But within that word, so Commonwealth is typically one word, and it's a body of people working towards the same goal. It's people who are working towards the same initiatives, see the same values, see the same focus. And I really aligned with that word. I felt like, as for me, a solo artist, I really wanted to tap into what does that look like coming together with other people, building, aligned power partners and brand relationships, and having these really, nurtured relationships to kind of grow my business versus doing everything myself all of the time. And so with that, the idea of a group of people moving towards the same goal, I loved, but I didn't like the political slant that it can sometimes have. And I felt like there was even something to be said about splitting that one word up into two words, Commonwealth. So those two words to me really felt impactful, because when we separated that word, then all of a sudden it made that word wealth stand out, and recognizing that by networking, by building relationships, wealth can become common. And wealth doesn't have to necessarily mean handbags and cars and vacation homes and money in general. It can, for sure, but it can also be time freedom. It can also be more education for your staff, more, resource to be able to expand and find opportunities that really light you up and kind of recharge your battery versus deplete or drain that battery. Wealth can be whatever you define wealth as. And so I loved switching this quote up a little bit and just putting that spin on it, because it really helps personify that piece to you. So from here, like I said, you've reached out. A couple of you had said yes. Who is currently working with brands or has previously worked with brands here? So if you have worked with brands previously, type P in the chat. And if you are actively working with brands now, type A in the chat. So for those of you that are live, if you could drop that in the chat for me, it's going to help me start to see, okay, so active, we've got one active so far. Going to help me start to see and really understand, based on your experience already, where do we want to start taking some action here? So I'm going to give you just a second. Everyone who's with me live, if you could just drop in the chat. An A if you are actively working with brands. Affiliate, amazing, A, thank you. And then P if you've previously worked with brands. So if that's something that you've done in the past. Active, amazing. Okay, great. Active, yes, active. Okay, So when you're looking at this discussion, so affiliate only, affiliate is such a great space to start these relationships. One of the things I talk with my coaching clients on pretty actively is kind of looking around their business. So for me right now, I'm working at home. I'm hosting this from my home office. And so I've got my microphone here that I use every day. I've got my light that I use. I get so many questions on this little light, this little bar light that sits here and gives me some great lighting around my computer. So I get asked about that light all of the time. I've got a charging portlet right here. I've got some incense that I lit before this call. So I've got these few things here that are all affiliated to a brand. One of the things that I really encourage someone who's never started working with brand yet to start doing is to reach out to the brands that they already love and ask about an affiliate program. This is typically a really simple, easy way to get started. And you can use that affiliate link in your link in bio in Instagram or on any of your social pages. You can create content in the ways that you're already probably creating content for your business. So for many of you, especially if you're solo artists, if you're independent like I was behind the chair for many, many years, when you're already doing so many things, it can feel like this is going to be a whole nother full-time job for you. Working with a brand is going to become a whole nother full-time job on top of your 40 plus hours a week that you're working with clients behind the chair. And I want to kind of encourage you to start to find opportunities to support these brands in the processes that you already have in place within your business. So when you're coming in the morning, if you work in the salon behind the chair, you're a colorist, you're setting up your space, you're cleaning all of your supplies, you're making sure everything's set up and prepared for your first client, you've got everything laid out. That entire process gives you opportunity to tap into possibly dozens of brands that you're working with every single day behind the chair. And just the process of being able to create that experience, that content right there, could be paid opportunity for you through affiliate. So it's a great way to get started. I really appreciate that experience level. That's a great place to really start to leverage and build those relationships. So the benefits across the board, this is outside of just revenue. I put that one at the top because yes, obviously when you start to build relationships with brands, there's many opportunities that you can start to diversify revenue and start to generate more revenue for your business. So that's almost a gimme. But then separately, and in addition to, I really want to encourage you to look at these two other areas. So the brand visibility piece is huge, 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 huge. So for myself, someone who started out building a community, very, very small community, which I initially intended to be a geographical based, Chicago based community. I never intended for it to go into the virtual space, but because of the pandemic, that's how everything started to unfold. And so the brand visibility piece for me, even today, is so important because I myself am very small. I'm a one-man show with a few contracted employees. And so being able to really recognize that the brand visibility by working with other aligned brands can be so valuable for you as an artist. If you're working with brands, there's a level of authority that a lot of times your clients will recognize. I know for myself, when I stepped into technical education as a national educator, being able to have that certificate, being able to have that that kind of title on my resume really helped me bring in more new dream clients. So it really served me as a hairstylist, fill more butts and seats, put more clients in my schedule because of my expertise as an educator. So the cool thing about developing these relationships and really starting to build this out is that it really kind of helps support your business in a lot of different ways, not just in one, not just in the revenue specific one that's sometimes easy to see. And then that third one that I want to encourage you to think about is new opportunities. I'm going to throw it back to early on in my career when I was educating at the very beginning. One of the huge value pieces for me was the ability to travel. I grew up in a lower middle class family. I didn't have a lot of travel experience, even as a 21, 22, 23-year-old adult. And so being able to work with a brand and travel all over the country at that time in my life, at that stage in my life, that travel experience, those opportunities, being able to meet people, artists, hairstylists, salons all over the country and teach at events and trade shows and be on stage, those opportunities were almost at that stage of my career more valuable than the revenue itself. So the benefits of working with brands aren't just around the money, and partnering with the brands that align with your values can really be that like gasoline on the fire. They can really help propel you in the direction that you're looking to build your business. Okay, so we've got some action steps, right? This is where I really want to kind of start talking through. So here are 3 things to really kind of start working with aligned brands or leveraging the brand relationships that you already have. So like I said, I work with a lot of clients right now, coaching clients, one-on-one clients, clients that go through our group coaching program, and they might work with brands in some capacities, whether it's affiliate or education or content creation, but they might not be truly brands that light them up. They're not necessarily collaborative. They get maybe, an itemized list of things that they have to provide. And then that's sort of the relationship that they experience with that brand. It might feel a little stagnant is maybe a word that I would use to describe it. So yes, it's generating revenue, but is it providing them with those opportunities that they're really hoping for? Is it really kind of like igniting their creativity and like firing them up in the ways that they're looking to expand and grow? So if that's not applicable to you right now in the current brand relationships that you have, how do we start to find more aligned relationships, brands that are really kind of moving in the direction that you yourself want to step into? So for me, SalonScale is a perfect example. I love the tech startup space. I myself was very focused on taking our community and moving it into app development. And so being in a space with another tech startup environment, another kind of really big visionary like Alicia Soulier, being able to kind of see the way that she wants SalonScale to continue to evolve and grow in the technology space, to me, that was really aligned with my bigger purpose, my bigger mission in my career path. So identifying aligned brands is first and foremost, make a list of brands that resonate with your values and your mission. So if you don't already know your values within your business and your values within yourself as an individual, sit down and take some time to really get clear on what those values are. So it could be innovation. It could be like really supporting the artist. It could be technology, like I mentioned, kind of using advancements in technology to elevate the industry, pour back into the people that are still kind of starting out, maybe beauty school students, people that are getting their career just off the ground. So whatever your values and mission looks like, put that list to paper, and then find within that list, who are a few other brands that you know that speak on these things. So innovation, let's use that one as an example for today. Innovation with technology is another great example with SalonScale, right? The idea of pairing a Bluetooth scale with an app to be able to track your back bar, that's innovative. That's very innovative. And so being able to see that aligns with my value is a really clear green light that, yep, this is somebody that I want to have on my radar and kind of keep moving in the direction of building a relationship towards. Then consider brands that you already use. So like I mentioned, if you're behind the chair as a colorist and you're using specific bowls and specific brushes and you have a specific apron and you have gloves that you love and foils that you love, and maybe you have a ring light yourself that you use for content and a camera that you use to shoot that content, and you have styling products that you love and you swear by, and think of, again, the number of brands that your hand is touching in an 8-hour shift behind the chair. So all of those opportunities exist in terms of finding relationship opportunities, revenue generators, and expanders. So consider the brands that you're already using. Prioritize those brands that align with your goals. So it's really kind of breaking it down that way. Make that list of your values, find the brands that kind of resonate with that and speak to those values. Then are they already brands that you use? If they're not, so for example, if you're joining this call today and you have joined from either a social post or marketing or from Commonwealth and you're not familiar with SalonScale, this is a great example. If you are a colorist and you're not yet using SalonScale and you'd like to work with SalonScale in some sort of way, maybe that starts out with an affiliate program. Maybe you get onboarded and you start to recognize how much more profit you're finding in your business. We have some great examples of this exact scenario. So someone can come on and join SalonScale, start to build that relationship themselves, try the products that you want to be partnered with out yourself. Start to see, okay, does this work in my business? Does this improve my quality of life in some way? Does this help generate the revenue that I'm hoping to generate? And if so, then how do I start to nurture this relationship into what could be potentially a power partner in an aligned brand, somebody that you could really start to explore and expand with? So from that, conduct your research. So once you've got that list, it's time to start digging deeper and going through, research on each brand specifically. So this can be on social, this can be on Instagram, this could be on LinkedIn, like I mentioned. If you are here with us live, could you drop in the chat, if you have a LinkedIn, could you please say yes right now in the chat? If you already have an active LinkedIn profile set up, if you could please say yes. LinkedIn is a very underutilized platform in our industry. So as a coach myself, I am constantly encouraging my clients to set up a LinkedIn profile, because as you continue to explore new opportunities to grow and generate more revenue, brands live in LinkedIn. So their teams live on LinkedIn, their strategic partnership departments live on LinkedIn. Okay, I'm looking at the chat because I see some people messaging, yes, never use it. Okay, yes. So again, LinkedIn is a great space to start finding these aligned brands. Who are your point of contact? What are their brand missions? You know, like I mentioned, what are the things that they share? Do they put things on LinkedIn? Sometimes, again, the messaging can look very different in the LinkedIn space versus the TikTok or Instagram visual spaces. I don't know how to correctly. Yes, such a great. So this is something, like I said, within our community, we talk about LinkedIn a lot because it really is underutilized and it doesn't take a lot to learn. So I would encourage you to watch a couple YouTube videos on getting LinkedIn set up and set up a great profile and start using that profile when it comes to connecting with aligned brands. It's going to be a much faster, much smoother, much easier way to start building those relationships than what you'll find on Instagram and TikTok. So once you have that time to kind of go through that research, that figure out what it is that you really like about them, then I like this space most importantly because it gives me the opportunity to see who's on their team. So like I mentioned, who are their head of strategic partnerships, or maybe their marketing department, or maybe their education department. So if you're looking to be an educator specifically, maybe they have somebody in education that you can reach out to and connect with and send a DM and say, hey, I was on LinkedIn and I found you with so-and-so brand. I'd love to set up a Zoom call and see if there's ways for me to provide value to XYZ brand. So again, by putting that introduction in place in LinkedIn, you know exactly who it is that you want to find and who they are in the role to the brand that you're looking to work with. So once you've finished that research, it's time to reach out. Like I said, that piece can hold people stuck for such a long time. I've watched it myself many, many times where that outreach initially is a little uncomfortable. So like I said, my suggestion is typically an outreach that's tailored to the brand. So why are you interested in them? What is it about them that you love? So with SalonScale, for example, if you've found a massive impact in the profit margin in your business, if you've brought on a SalonScale and you've been able to really see for yourself, for your team potentially, the impact that it's made, and it's a no-brainer for you. If you're at that point where you're telling any of your salon friends, oh yeah, we implemented this is how we use it, it works so well for us. If you're at that stage, then this is definitely a time that you could potentially reach out and say, hey, I would love to get that affiliate link. I'd love to be able to kind of start to show my love for this brand in a way that compensates me, that generates a little revenue, even if it's that tiny commission from an affiliate link. I'm telling you, those brand relationships have to start somewhere. So starting them at that stage can allow for more opportunities to unfold as the time continues on. If you are starting to find these aligned brand contact information, you cannot find email addresses, they're not always available, to be totally honest. That's where, again, a LinkedIn message is an alternative option I would suggest. You can send social messages through Instagram and through TikTok. No harm, no foul. And if you have large followings there, which many people in the beauty space build up their following on those platforms specifically because they're so visual. So if you have large followings there, make that outreach, but then move that conversation into email. So I always encourage kind of the order of operations with this conversation is to first get that DM started, whether it's LinkedIn or Instagram or TikTok, just introduce, just have that engagement, like and interact on that space. And then always move that into an email conversation. So as fast as possible, get it into an email thread. And then when that email conversation is going well, you've got some opportunities, things seem like they're moving in the right direction, move it into a Zoom chat. So the goal is to kind of keep that conversation going. And so it progresses kind of like dating. I had that on the last slide as an example. So think about dating, you know, it's a process. You're getting to know each other and really don't skip that process. I would really encourage you to take your time in the process of getting to know the brand, whether it's the values that I mentioned, the mission overall, the opportunities that might be available for you, but also just the ways that you might be able to provide value. Sometimes it takes a little time to get to know the brand, to really see what their potential pain points might be that you can support, that you can provide some really valuable pieces back into. And that can move you into a different caliber, a different tier of collaboration opportunities in the paid capacity. So take your time, focus on making that initial contact about them, not yourself. So this is also something that I think sometimes we struggle with when we're making that first outreach. It's a little uncomfortable. We don't know exactly what to say. And so sometimes it's easier just to talk about us, right? We're just talking about ourselves. The goal with this outreach is to show how you can actually pour value into their brand. So what is it that you like I mentioned, maybe a compliment, something that you've noticed yourself of value that has helped support you, whether that's in the quality of your hair, that's in the quality of your business, whatever that looks like. And then move the conversation, like I said, into more personal settings. So Zoom calls or in-person meetings are always the goal. That's going to help you kind of nurture that relationship and get it to the point where you're getting a contract drafted up, which is the goal. So I've got that at the very end, that contact to contract. Our goal is to get you from that space of having contact in any way, shape, or form, whether it's just a follow on social media, and move that all the way into a contract that actually secures some opportunity for you to continue to grow and expand. So some tips and strategies on getting going here. So like I said, shift the focus on what you can gain over to what you can offer. So right now, if you're on this call with us live or you're watching the replay, I'd really encourage you, if you've got a pen and a piece of paper in front of you, write down a couple of things that you think right now, today, you could offer to another brand that you love. So if there's a brand that you've already got kind of top of mind, use that brand specifically and maybe jot down a couple of things that you know you could talk about, you know you could share on from your own experience, your own testimonial, maybe your clients' experiences with working with this brand, whatever that looks like, jot those down. What can you offer to them? What are the things that you can provide of value? So the way that you want to start nurturing that conversation, if you move it away from what you gain, like I said, we know you're going to make more money. We know you're going to have more opportunities. We know that there's so much expansion that can happen, brand awareness with working with aligned brands. However, that is only going to happen if you're able to showcase these brands, what it is specifically that you can do for them. So highlight the unique ways you can support their objectives, enhance community or engagement, overall. So those are the big things right now as we're seeing technology, right? Technology is such a gift. It's such a wonderful thing for us to have in our businesses. And we see that with ChatGPT, right? We see that with AI, being able to see how we can start to leverage these tools. However, the thing that we're missing now more than ever is humanity, right? That human connection, that human piece has to come in. So that expertise, the skills that you have, the abilities that align with their needs, those are going to be the things that aren't duplicatable. So community, leveraging your community of whatever that looks like. Like I said, if it's a product-based relationship, if you're looking to expand products specifically, that might be more testimonial from your clients. Maybe it's a product that you've used so many times behind the chair and your clients just rave about it. Flies off the shelf. You can't keep it in stock. You yourself use it all the time. All your friends and family love it. Whatever those kind of experiences are, those are the things that really cannot be duplicated or replicated with technology. That human interaction is really important. So the next thing, again, showcasing your expertise, skills, and abilities. Some of you have mentioned decades of experience in the industry. So like I said, that experience is so important and valuable. Leverage that. So showcase that in the way that really supports the brand's needs. This is where that dating process, taking your time to really understand the brand, understand maybe the brand's objectives, where the brand wants to grow and scale in the next stretch of time. This is where this is so important, because then you can start to fill in those gaps for that brand. And when you're getting onto conversation calls, whether those are proposals or pitches to be able to potentially get a contract from that brand, you really want to be able to show how you yourself can fill in those gaps. So this is something to take your time on, really make sure that you're getting to know that brand and you know their needs. And then this is, again, avoid using templated or generic outreach messages. So this is the downside of ChatGPT, right? This is the downside of technology. Do not just copy and paste this one. Do not just copy and paste a generic message that you can use for every opportunity, every affiliate. That's not how you're going to find aligned brand partnerships or relationships. So instead, take your time, like I said, maybe offer a compliment, something genuine that you really find of value. And then from that, what is it that you can do that provides value? So hone this in, take the time to do your research so that you can come into those conversations and really personalize that message tailored to that brand specifically. Okay, and then let me just keep this moving. So with this strategy concept, you want to really nurture these relationships. They're long-term. So brand relationships, like I mentioned, I've had a relationship with SalonScale since early 2021. So when I launched our community, actually even in 2020, I was familiar with SalonScale because of a virtual event that I attended. And so I had kind of started the seeds planted early on in that stage, recognizing that there was this new technology that I myself behind the chair hadn't yet been introduced to, and really recognizing the innovation, like I said, that stood out to me as a value of my own that I started to see reflected in this brand that I was really intrigued by. So this was a long game, right? And at the time, there wasn't even an indication that I would ever at any stage start working in this capacity with this brand. However, I was really attracted to the innovation that was being provided. And so building building those long-term relationships over the short-term gains is going to be really important. So like I said, take your time in finding aligned brands that you can have years and years and years of great relationship with. Invest your time and effort in understanding the brand's ethos and vision. So like I said, don't just dive into this, like do your research, take the time to really get to know the brand, the culture, the environment. What will it look like if you're on their ambassador team? What will it look like if you're on their education team and you're traveling with other artists? Make sure that you're really getting to take the time to figure out what's going to work best for your long-term goals, your vision for yourself and your career. Look for opportunities to add value, contribute meaningfully. So this is, again, don't stay within your box of just the things that maybe you're being asked to do. If there's opportunity for you to further add value, add that value. Add that value. I promise it will pay back in spades in the long run. So wherever you can find the value, bring it back to the brand that you're open to working with and you're hoping to develop this relationship in a greater capacity with. And that value will be so appreciated. You'll be able to then leverage other opportunities in the future, and you'll be top of mind for the great opportunities that can come. And then open communication channels are so important in this dynamic. So a lot of times when you step into working with a brand, you might be talking to 2, 3, 4, maybe even 5 people on a team. So being able to make sure that your communication is streamlined, it's open, you're able to take feedback, you're not taking any criticism too personally, and that creates that collaborative, mutually beneficial partnership. So it's something that you can continue to kind of like brick by brick build upon over the decades or the years at least of experience that you build together in this relationship. So I wanted to share now an experience with Juliana. Oh, let me just skip that back. 23. So this is one of my coaching clients, Juliana. I'm going to drop here in the chat for you. We have actually, I'll do it at the end because I don't want to stop sharing my screen. But we have our new implementation guide for solos officially launched. I had the privilege of facilitating this for the active users of SalonScale. Every new active user comes on to SalonScale and now has access to either our team implementation guide that is facilitated by Kaylee Auger or our solo implementation guide, and that is facilitated by myself. So those two structures, again, team or solo, depending on where you're at, if you're a colorist, you're new to SalonScale, our solo guide is now launched officially. You'll have that with the replay from today's Sips and SalonScale call. But in that, we have a bonus video with one of my one-on-one coaching clients. This is Juliana. And she's a great example of someone she's a solo suite owner. She's built her business behind the chair. She's brought on SalonScale for her own benefit to be able to really understand her numbers as best as possible, button up her pricing, get her menu perfected. And now she's moving into what does it look like to start possibly working with SalonScale as an affiliate or creating some user-generated content or providing other value to this brand that she already has found so much value in herself within her business. So this is a great example of somebody who first found a brand that solved a need that she had. So SalonScale did that. She needed a better system with her back bar. She needed more time management in terms of her systems that she had with reordering, inventory management as a whole. And so SalonScale filled that need for her. Once she found that solution in this brand, and then she also found how much their mission, their innovation, how much they support the artists, how much they want to give back in spaces like this, where education is provided and value is provided outside of just the technology piece itself. Once she started to see all of the other things about SalonScale that really aligned with her values, her mission, it became a no-brainer that this would be potentially a direction she would want to move into. So who knows what will happen with Juliana and her brand relationship with SalonScale, but she's featured now in our implementation guide for solos in our bonus video. So again, this is a great way to start kind of showcasing how brand relationships can start out in that partnership space, that really symbiotic value adding space, and then they can evolve and grow and change over the time that you're connected. So you have to start somewhere, whatever that looks like. A few takeaways for today. I want to save some minutes for questions. If you have any questions as we're talking through, please drop those in the chat. I'd love to be able to target specifically a question or two that you can take into action this week, that you can take a next step and make some changes for your business. So please think through those, drop those in the chat in the next 9 or so minutes as we're signing off for today. But the takeaways that I really want you to kind of lean into, the strategies for identifying aligned brands first and foremost, the methods for identifying brands that resonate with your values and mission. Like I said, make your list, write down your list of what it is that you value yourself, and then move that into finding match with the brands that you already use. So take a look at kind of your day-to-day, what are the brands that you're touching, and then find where those kind of symbiotic cross lines live. So what brands are aligned with your values and your mission, your bigger goal in your career. And then with that, LinkedIn is a great tool. Do some research on exactly who the people are that you might need to make intros to. If you can find another educator or two, or content creator or two, anything that you can kind of start tapping into in the relationship building spectrum, that's going to really help leverage more communication and move you from that DM outreach into hopefully an email and then potentially a meeting. So that process, that strategy, I hope that's something that you've been able to take away from today. Researching. So from this, go through and understand the culture, the values, the initiatives. What projects have this brand supported in the past? What other events have they sponsored? What other educators are they sharing on their stories or on their feed or their highlights? Really kind of start to understand who this brand is. So where to do that, how to do that. And then from that, crafting outreach emails tailored to the brand. So do not copy and paste, do your research and then customize that outreach message so that it's aligned with the brand itself. That's going to get you way further than just a cold copy paste email or a message that you might share. And then understanding the significance of short-term versus long-term. So build the relationship in that kind of dating concept, you know, brick by brick, really take your time to get to know the brand, make sure that it's aligned for you. So like I mentioned, we launched the SalonScale solo implementation guide with me this week. So for all of our active users with SalonScale, you'll have access to that with the replay of today's call. That will be going out, like I said, with every new onboarding for every SalonScale user. They'll now have access to either the team implementation guide with Kaylee or the solo implementation guide with myself. So being able to support our active users and really getting onboarded, really understanding the technology, and then utilizing all of the resources, including SIPs and SalonScale, to their max potential so that we are turning more profit for businesses. That's our goal. That's our entire goal within SalonScale. So one more kind of call to action, tell me in the chat. So with this discussion, can you see how implementing these strategies could maybe move the needle for you? You could kind of go from wherever you're at. If it's an affiliate link, I know someone mentioned prior that they're working with a brand and affiliate link. Maybe it's time to resurface that conversation. Maybe you can tap back into that brand and say, hey, you know, I've noticed you're doing this, this, and this, and I'd really love to maybe have a discussion about how I could add value to your next launch or your next initiative or whatever that might look like. So if you found value, yes, thank you for sharing that in the chat. If you've found some value, you can start to see some strategies for yourself. Maybe drop like whatever that might look like specifically. Share what your next step might be so that if someone here is maybe not quite sure yet for themselves what that looks like, your comment might inspire them to take action themselves. So I'm going to move on, but please, if you can, drop that in the chat for us while we've got some time here for some questions. So I would love to kind of tackle a few questions. I've got one here that I see. I'm going to start with this one. As we wrap up these next 6 minutes or so, please use this time to tap in, drop some questions here. I'm going to stop sharing my screen so I can see everyone's faces. And I think I see most everyone has changed their name to something other than Lynzie Smith. So if you have questions, please drop them in the chat. The question here that I have, can you reach out to a brand if you do not use exclusively? So exclusively is an interesting thing. So 2 parts to this question. First, I would never reach out to a brand that I don't use. So first important piece is make sure you're using the product itself. If it's not exclusive, so there's some variation in this. If you're a colorist, for example, if you work in some capacity with a color line, you may have to sign a non-compete or some sort of clause that doesn't allow you to share publicly about other brands that you might use. That's kind of a further discussion, but at the early onset, I would start by just reaching out to all the brands that you use and don't worry too much about that exclusivity until you get to the stage where you're negotiating contracts. So I would say make the outreach, and then later down the road, you can start to figure out which brand is most aligned if you have to discuss any sort of like non-compete or any sort of exclusivity contract clause. Great question. Okay, next question. Identifying which brands truly align with my values and goals. Amazing. Yes. Okay, so I would say to start out with this, sit down and take some time and really think about, okay, what are my values just as a person? For me, it's easiest to start with who I am as an individual. What are my values? I do love innovation. So I'm going to kind of stick with that one as a example. Innovation within the industry has always been something that really lights me up. And so that one I would be able to say pretty confidently, yes, I could find that as one of my key foundational values as a person, and then also as a hairstylist. So then from that, I would expand what are maybe another 2 or 3 values that I can come up with that align with me, myself as a human being, and then also apply to my career in some capacity or the industry that I'm really passionate about. And then from that, goals are really kind of think long term. So maybe 5 years is about a good capacity to kind of start with. Where do you want to be within your career in 5 years? And then using that goal, whatever that kind of looks like for you, can you break that down and kind of start to see like what would be maybe 2 or 3 aligned brands that would help me move to that goal? For example, if travel in 5 years, let's say complete geographical freedom is really important to me in 5 years. I want to be able to work anywhere, all over the place. Consulting might be a great option, something that would give me flexibility to work from home. Maybe I want to travel. And so teaching in different cities might be something really appealing to me, like I said, from technical education. So if in 5 years I want to be traveling the world and kind of a jet setter all over the place, maybe that is exactly the path for me to step into education because I see that goal at the forefront. So first it's you, then it's your business, the industry that you love. And then once you've got that list made, then start finding in the brands that you already use, what brands talk about those values, what brands talk about inclusivity, or maybe female founders, or innovation, like I said, or technology. There's so many different things that you can come up with, but hone in on yours first, then let the brands match yours. Cool, great question. So much value. You've given me a nice structure. Thank you. Thank you for saying that. That means so much to me. I want to share a couple of links with you. I'm going to pull these up really quick. I had them on my other desktop, but my screen was naming you all Lynzie, and I thought that was an error. So I logged off and came back on my laptop in hopes that I could fix it. But let me just pull all these up. So the first thing, like I mentioned, I want to share with you is my freebie that I offered you all. So I'm going to pull this up for you. If this was helpful, if you found value in this, I would love to gift you. This is our brand collab roadmap. So I'm going to drop this in the chat. You'll see a link pop in. So this is going to help take the discussion that we had today and then maybe move you into a workbook that can help you outline a few next steps. It's completely free. So if you are finding value in this conversation, this discussion, and you've got some steps for the next couple of weeks, this is your next step. Download this freebie, start working through this workbook, and then connect with me specifically on social. So I'm also going to drop my Instagram handle here. So this is my personal handle. This is where you'll find me specifically. I would love to connect with you. And again, like I said, my role here within SalonScale is head of community engagement. So I am first and foremost a hairstylist. I'm behind the chair myself still. I take clients quarterly back in Chicago. And so I really care deeply about the longevity of our industry, about the integrity of our industry, about the way that brands can continue to support us. So I'm going to put that's just Instagram. Let's put my handle, go to my profile. This is my Instagram specifically. I would love to hang out with you here. And then this is our community Instagram. This is Commonwealth, like I mentioned, Commonwealth Collective. I'd love to hang out with you in this space. On this space, you'll find our podcast. You'll find information about our group coaching programs, our individual one-on-one coaching programs. And then lastly, I would love to invite you to set up a demo call. So this is for me, the most important thing from this conversation. We wanted this to be high value for you. We wanted you to leave with action around working with aligned brands. This was not intended to be a sales call. However, this is the time to get involved with SalonScale if you are not already. So the most important thing I want you to take away from this call, if you're not an active SalonScale user and you've gotten on this call, you've been invited to this space by this company that cares about our industry this much, that wants to bring more profit into the salons that they support through this technology, through this tool, I'm going to encourage you to take action today and book a demo. So here is the link for that. This demo call, again, there's no pressure here. We want to get you more profit in your business. SalonScale in the last 5 years has generated over $20 million of profit for businesses, $20 million of profit. So that is a massive, massive amount of money that is being poured directly back into our industry. So that last link that I shared is the most important one for today. Grab that demo and set up a time to talk with one of our customer service experts. You'll most likely connect with Whit or be able to really talk through with Alicia some of the things that are going to help support your business moving from where you're at today into maximum profit and maximum potential. So I'm going to wrap it up there. Thank you all so much for joining us. We will host these again. Like I said, if you found value, please give us some feedback. Let us know how we can further support you. Enjoy the rest of your Tuesday, everyone. Thank you. Bye.